Yo, what's good, everyone? It's DLloyd. Welcome back to another episode of the DLloyd Sports Podcast. We just had some technical difficulties, but hopefully this one runs smoothly. We have no issues at all. So we got to redo the intro, even though we unfortunately just did it. But today I am joined by my dad. My dad is with us today. Perry, say what's
What's
up,
up,
man.
everybody?
Yes, sir.
What's up?
It's
What's
gonna
up? What's up? Hey, please join us and like and subscribe to my son's channel, his new channel, and show him some love, people.
Yes, sir. Definitely appreciate that. Hopefully we don't have any issues again. I think I went mute for a second, but
Yeah,
it should
okay,
be back.
yeah,
Might be my internet.
okay.
I don't know what's going on today, man. It is want me to be great. It is not want me to be great. So can you hear me now? Is everything going good
I
now,
can hear you.
or no?
Mm-hmm. Now I can
Is it
hear
going
you.
good?
Can you hear
Okay,
me?
you can hear me.
So
All right,
if you
cool.
see me do this, that
I'm
means I
still
can't
having the
hear
issue
you.
where I
Okay.
can't hear you for whatever reason, but
Wow.
like I said, it's just my internet doesn't want me to do good today. Um, can you say something now? See if it worked now. Did I get it?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, I hear
It's
you.
not. Still not working.
Yeah, I hear you now there. All right. So I have to go do things a little differently to be able to hear you, but I got you. So hopefully if you hear echo, let me know because I hear you coming out of my speakers now.
I don't hear
But
echo.
okay, perfect. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna jump into probably the major story in the sports world right now. Last night we had a doubleheader Monday night football games, but mainly we want to talk about the Cleveland Browns losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers because in that game we had a tough injury to Nick Chubb, Cleveland Brown running back, one of the best running backs in the league. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough that he is not going to be here. It's looking like a dislocated left knee, and that is the same knee that he had ACL surgery on back in college. So it's not a good knee for him at all. But he has a dislocated knee and is looking like this could be a long-term injury. When I first seen it, I'm thinking right away, oh, okay, this is definitely a season-long injury. But according to TMZ, Dr. David Abbasi, who was a former team doctor for the Miami Dolphins, he is saying this. He's saying, quote, this is a serious injury and it will need reconstructive surgery. He will definitely be out the rest of the year. Next year is in question as well, and so is his career. So that is
Wow.
very, very big statements right there, saying that he could potentially be out for his NFL career. We know he should at least be out this season, which I think is definitely going to hurt the chances of Cleveland, right? Because that whole offense is built around Nick Chubb. And not having him, you now have to figure out who was going to be the next man up. Ford did look good last night, but he's the guy that you move forward with long term. Obviously, online, you immediately start hearing the Kareem Hunt reunion chats. I don't know if that's the case or not, but what's your initial thoughts when you seen it? Because it was a nasty looking injury.
Actually, when I seen it, I thought he broke the leg off, like below the knee. I thought it was coming off. I
Yeah.
mean, it looked bad. And I'd be surprised though, seriously. I know how, all these surgeons can do whatever.
Mhm.
I don't see him coming back from this, maybe at his age, when you're going through rehab and trying to do all this stuff. And if he did, I don't think he'll be the old Chubb,
Yeah.
and as far as the team, hell, I don't know what Cleveland can do. And really at this point, is it even worth it for Cleveland, as bad as the team looked outside of Chubb? So maybe take this time and position yourself for a high draft pick.
So the interesting part with Cleveland is the way their salary situated is pretty much win this season.
Your internet.
I went out
Go
again.
back up.
This
Yeah.
was definitely the win now season for Cleveland. And if they can't win now, I definitely think it's going to throw a wrench. So I think you still have to go for it. And like I said, maybe that means bring back a Kareem Hunt, but you're going to have to change that offense. That offense is not going to run the same with the running back like Kareem Hunt. Even the Ford, who looked really good last night, I don't think it's the same offense. You're going to have to depend on the rest of that team to really get it done. And I think this is an injury that is really, I don't want to say catastrophic. That sounds like I'm going crazy, but I mean, let's be real. It's catastrophic. And you see the comment right here from HD, Texans have the pick. So they don't even get the reward of having the injury. They don't get that. And now you have to decide what's the future, right? Because you're going to lose everybody. Not everybody, but you're going to have to pick and choose who do you keep at the end of this season. Now, the interesting part for Nick Chubb, he is 27 currently. He will be 28 December 27th. So before he plays another game, he will be 28 years old. And we all know pretty much like the thing around the NFL is once you hit 28, you just fall off a cliff. There's not that many running backs past the age of 28 that are still producing at that level, besides maybe Derrick Henry. That might be like the one outlier that's currently running. So what do you do with Nick Chubb? If this is going to cost him some of next season, he has an out in his contract for in this upcoming offseason. He has an out in his contract where he will only be $4 million in dead cap if they release him. If they bring him back, he'll be $15 million in dead cap. Is that something you even consider? Because it is Nick Chubb, and we do know if Nick Chubb is anything remotely close to Nick Chubb, he is a top, even worst case scenario, top 5 running back right in the league. Like, do you consider that?
Now, I understand that, right? But this is the deal. You said if, you assuming if he come back to be the old Chubb. The way I seen that injury, I just don't know. And the way they're respecting the running back these days, most of them, probably high salary might be 10 million, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of free agent running backs out there. Do I take a chance on bringing Chubb back at the age of 28, trying to rehab when he going to miss some of the season? And trust me, the way the Browns look, they can't afford to drop a game. So maybe I would have to go ahead, for me personally, I'm a fantasy guy. I would have to cut my losses, release him.
Yeah.
Lose the $4 million in dead space, right? Then maybe add a guy for $10 million. That's the $14 million. But I got fresh legs.
Yeah.
Something I can go from game 1 throughout the season. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, it's
DLoyd, your internet.
it gets tough. You have me back again? Am I back?
Yeah, you back now. Yeah.
He's so good, and that's where it gets extremely tough. But like you, I had him in fantasy as well. I had him and Aaron Rodgers in fantasy. So rip to that team right there. That team's pretty much done. But
should I play taps for you? Because that's
I'm playing fantasy for my health at this point in that league. I'm not competing in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, he's just so good, and hopefully, it's not a career-threatening injury. Hopefully, it is a year. Hopefully, he can come back next season, early next season. If it does cause some time in the next season, it will get a little difficult then when you have to consider what you want to do. But we'll see, man. Nobody likes to see that. It is definitely unfortunate because we've seen that injury. It was a nasty injury, and
for real,
I don't wish that upon anybody. But speaking of injuries in the NFL, this is very ironic, and it was very bad timing on how this came out. Hours before that game, the NFL officially filed a grievance, according to the Washington Post, with the NFLPA, saying that the NFLPA has been advising running backs to potentially fake injuries in order to get more money. And so in order to get more money, that is a claim. To claim that that's what the NFLPA is doing, that's some serious allegations. And the NFL, you would assume, would have to have some type of proof right? Now we know the Nick Chubb one. That is not that. We
Oh yeah,
all
that
seen
wasn't
that
fake.
with our
Right,
eyes.
right.
Yeah, we all seen that with our eyes. Clearly he was really injured in that one. But the first thing that comes to mind is Jonathan Taylor,
Yep.
right? Who's on the 4-week PUP list. He cannot come back. But once he comes back week 5, does he have incentive to play? He's unhappy with the team. He wanted to be traded.
Correct.
The team refused to trade him. And now you're looking at a situation where he has to play. He has to show up in order to this season to count as a season, so he can become a free agent next year. But what stops you from, getting a hangnail, banging your toe, saying my elbow hurt, whatever the case is? You got dirt in your eye.
Yeah.
What stops you from saying I can't play? And
nothing stops you.
That's interesting. So, do you think the NFL
nothing stops you, and especially,
do you think the NFL has a case?
Well, the problem with that, you can file a case, but how do you prove that though? Now, see, that's the thing. And really, they can come out there and fake an injury, or you can come out there and play bad as hell. That's an option too, right?
Yeah.
They gonna owe you the money as long as you active. They owe you the money, correct?
Yeah.
So I think the NFL, being paranoid and all that stuff, I get it. It could possibly happen. That's why if you treat them right, pay them, maybe you wouldn't have this problem. You don't see no quarterback faking the injury.
No need.
No top wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's what I think. I think that, yeah, it's definitely probable that somebody would do that.
Yeah.
But that's the risk. Either you're going to trade somebody before the season, because it can happen to any team. So, but I don't know, how do you prove that though?
I don't think you can. I mean, I think like even if it's a wink and we know what's going on. Like, for example, going back to the NBA, when James Harden wanted out of Houston, he played, he showed up for every game. He was just fat, out of shape, and gave no effort. Like, so he showed up, and what in there just says you can't play bad. There's nothing in any stipulation that says, hey, you're not allowed to play poorly, or you're not allowed to give your all. And in a physical game, see, that's NBA where it's a little bit different. A physical game like football, how do you know if somebody is truly hurt? You may have an idea that, okay, I think they're faking it, they're milking it, but that's a tough thing to police, like you said.
You know what, DLloyd, you know what it is? I think it's a bad case of paranoia for the NFL. It's just a bad case of it. If you think about it, how many players go on the PUP because they got to make room to bring up another position or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
They played a game themselves, creating fake injuries. So now they see it coming back to haunt them. And really, the only people they really talking about faking it is the running backs that they refuse to pay.
So we're right back to square one, which is, should the NFL pay the running back position? And that is so, I don't know how I explain this one, because that's such a tricky subject to me, because every position group kind of has its own market value, right? And every position isn't created equal. It sounds unfortunate, but I mean, that's just the reality of it. And a position like the running back position, which is an important position that kind of got devalued over the last 15 years with the running back by committee and the spread offenses, and receivers became the most popular. It's not the 90s and the early 2000s where you just had Jerome Bettis and give him the ball 30 times and that's it.
Right.
We don't really have that, besides like Derrick Henry, right? And Nick Chubb, coincidentally. We don't really have that. So how much do you pay a running back? Because we do know running backs age, they take the hits, and the way the CBA is, I think for like the next almost decade, right? You're slotted in with your contract. You're under contract for 4 years. Your first round pick, you have the 5th-year option. And unless they change anything, you do have the franchise tag in place, which I think the NFLPA just needs to get rid of that. Like, that needs to be at the top of their discussions, is how can we get rid of that? Instead of other stuff they've been arguing about. But can you blame the teams for not paying the running back? Because it's set up to.
I see your point. You saying that if you can go to the thrift shop and pick up a used RB
Are you
and
going
throw
to
him
give
out
them full
there,
price?
and he give you half of what that $10 million player would do.
Mhm.
Maybe you do that, right? But if you look at the league, what position that starts really pay somebody under $10 million?
Nothing. Running back, unless you're a
Right.
fullback, and
Okay.
I don't think they exist anymore.
So, yeah, I mean, you can get these little journeymen and go out there and run it back. If they don't want to pay them, then maybe, I'm not sure. I think it's ridiculous though. Like,
Mhm.
running backs is really important to a team.
Yeah.
But I guess if you don't value them, you just don't value them. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, DLloyd. I don't know.
My analogy is this: if I go to Target or Walmart and I see something on sale, I'm not going to walk up to the cashier and say, "You know what? I'm gonna give you the full price because I like this product." I'm gonna say, "Hey, I got a bargain. It's on sale, and I'm taking it. And I'm running out the window or out the door with it. Hopefully not the window. That'll be crazy. I'm running out the door with it because I just got the item on sale." That's why, like,
That's true.
you feel bad. Like, when I say this, I don't mean I don't feel bad. Like, I feel bad for the running backs. Trust me.
Right.
But
Mhm.
I think the biggest lesson here is if you have a kid, tell them to go play wild.
Your sound went out. Your sound went out. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
All right. What about now? Are we good to go?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
No,
cool.
you just went out on a tangent, and I know what you're saying. If you go to Walmart and you see something on sale, you're not gonna go and say, "Hey, I feel like this is worth 20 more extra dollars." No, you're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
But I did hear what you said too, though. But I guess it's just life changes, right?
Mhm.
The sports changes. I guess now instead of kids wanting to say, "Hey, I'm the running back," no,
No,
you
you're a
rather be the
receiver.
linebacker, wide receiver,
Yep.
or quarterback. Or hell, at this point, I'd rather be the lineman.
Linemen get paid.
I'd rather be them. You know what I'm saying?
Or
If I
go
have to
kick.
overeat to get there,
Go kick.
if I have to overeat, huh?
Yeah, go kick. Go be an elite field goal kicker.
Well, I don't know if I want to be
Justin
that.
Tucker gets
No,
paid. Justin Tucker gets
well,
paid.
I know, but he's the best of the best. I mean, could you imagine coming in have a rough week and you got to go out there and kick a game-winning field goal? If you miss this damn thing, you out of there.
Yeah,
Clean your
it's
locker out.
over.
You
Yeah,
done.
for sure.
I don't want that.
I
But
get
I
it.
would agree with you. At this point, you redirect. If you see this where the future's going, and that job market being a running back has went out of business,
Yeah.
then you know what? Before I have my kid play running back, he'll be playing badminton. I mean, I might teach him how to play checkers or something.
Hey, go play
But
soccer. You
running
see
back would not be the spot.
the contracts that Saudi's been offering for soccer has been crazy.
Well,
All
yeah, I can
right,
imagine
so
how that would go.
but speaking of positions people do want to play, let's talk about Deshaun Watson. That also happened in that game because he played bad.
Uh-huh.
He played bad. He played really bad actually. Like I don't want to be too rude. I'm a Deshaun Watson fan, like of his game, of course, off the field issues. That's the thing. But I like Deshaun Watson. I thought this would be a good season. I gave him the benefit of the doubt last season, right? He had the time off from the suspension
Mhm.
in the Texans. He was not allowed to practice with the team. So he showed up week 13 after signing that fully guaranteed contract and having all the pressure of performing. He did not perform well, but it's rust and it's you showed up week 13 expecting to win games, right? Like that's a tough task at the quarterback position. So I gave him
Well,
that benefit of the doubt. Yeah,
besides just those 13 games, did he play the previous 2 seasons in Texas?
he
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 was
well,
out
he
for a
was on the
while.
bench one season because they did not play him, and then he was suspended.
Right. So really, like you taking a guy that used to be great,
Yeah.
you pay him all this money and expect him to come out there and be the guy he supposed to had been 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's on the organization for picking that guy up. I wouldn't have do it. If I had to make my mind up, my mind would be like this. My mind's telling me no. Because you can't do that with him. You just can't do it,
Yeah.
Devin. You just cannot. Just like they was actually playing fantasy with a real life football team. Deshaun Watson trading all kind of picks to get him or whatever.
Traded
Matter of
3
fact,
first-round picks and gave him the largest guarantee.
that's what HB was talking about, and he's saying that hey, they don't even get their pick next year. So that's ridiculous. And the guy, I know you might like him. He looked like he spent too much time in the massage parlors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I will say this because I remember how good he was, and it could be me falling victim, just hanging on to stuff I don't need to keep hanging on to. I'm gonna give him a couple more games. I'm gonna give him a couple more games, especially now without Nick Chubb. I think without Nick Chubb, they have no choice but to go to an offense tailored around him. I think he will become the focal point of that offense instead of handing the ball off to Nick Chubb 20 to 30 times a game. He's going to have to throw it. Yesterday, he threw it, but I think they're going to have to specifically game plan that you are going to be the guy. Now, he has a tough matchup, but then in 2 weeks, he plays Houston. And if he doesn't play good against Houston with all the motivation to play good against Houston, that's when I'll say you're probably right. You're probably right. And this experiment could have gone terribly wrong, and I will be off the bandwagon. I don't want to say it quite yet. Of course, we know how bad the contract is.
Your internet is bad.
It's a bad contract. I still think in his best day, he could be a top 10, 8-ish quarterback. Now, that's probably not worth the contract, but you have to assume as years go on, he's not going to be, the highest paid player anymore. But it could, I don't know. I don't know, man. He has to play better.
Look, I'm just gonna keep it real with you, right? I don't think it's about the play calling, what they want to do. I just think the guy just don't feel it anymore. Sometimes to be that great, you got to want it.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't see him wanting to be that great anymore. I'm just saying.
The benefit of the doubt I will give is the first interception yesterday. I felt like that was more of the play call, more than him. Now the rest of the game, the turnovers, he had an interception. He just lobbed one up in the end zone. The DB just dropped it. Those are on him, and I don't know exactly what it is. But like I said, to me, he got a few more weeks. If he doesn't show any improvement by Houston, then I'm fully out of that conversation, and we're gonna move on with that one. So
what you gonna do then? What you gonna do at that point? Bench him?
You're stuck. No, you can't bench him.
Okay. No, I was just wondering.
There's no way. Like Russell Wilson won't be benched. There's no way. Like it's just certain situation. I just know once I'm paying how much money, I'm not going to be looking at you standing next to me on the sideline.
Right.
Now you're going to be out there, and we'll figure the rest out. So you can't bench him.
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta go.
Before I was the bench him, because I'm like you. If I'm paying you all this money,
I'm paying you.
And me personally, I already feel like you ain't giving me all that. I will go out there for 4 straight downs, quarterback keeper. Keeper, 4 downs.
Yeah, and you see the comment right here. He used to be top. He was easily a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion. That's why I'm just hanging on. Like, can he figure it out? And he had less talent in Houston. He did have D-Hop, but he has Amari Cooper here. I just feel like something's off. We know historically the Cleveland Browns are not the greatest organization in the world either. We've seen how they made a lot of quarterbacks look in the past. So maybe that has something to do with it. Skaranski's offense has not been helping them at all. So hopefully he gets it together, but it's not a good look. And I think he is on the clock rarely when it comes to figuring things out. Now, speaking of quarterback position, just football in general, but what I've seen from Shedeur Sanders in Colorado has been crazy. Let's talk about Colorado because they have been revolutionizing the game. Now, I made a video and I talked about it, and I felt like I said Deion Sanders, in my opinion, is one of the best head coaches in college football. And what I mean by that is you have your coordinators, and their job is to scheme up the best offense, scheme up the best defense as possible. The head coaching job is obviously higher the best coaching staff around you, manage all of like how the team operates in this day to day, right? Motivate your players, make sure you get the best out of your players. I believe Deion Sanders does that better than anybody in college football, right? Like he has like Colorado has the swag, like they had the swag of the old 80s, 90s, early 2000 Miami team when nobody liked the Miami Hurricanes and they were just dominating college football and they were going out and doing it their way, right? We haven't seen that since then. We did have runs. We had a USC who had like a mini 4 or 5 year run. Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart. We had like Tim Tebow's Florida. We had Alabama dominate, but none of them done it like this. And we know how charismatic Deion is, and we know Deion is going to get it done. And what we have been seeing from them is crazy. So speaking on that, they had a game against Colorado State, the in-state rivalry, a game that, let's be frank, nobody has cared about except for Colorado, like people who live in Colorado.
Not even people in Colorado.
Nobody. I've never was like, man, I got to get home, watch this Colorado State rivalry matchup. Nobody is scared. So the fact that he has people caring is crazy. So we now found out that the Colorado State game is the highest viewed game, late night game in ESPN history. And that game started at 10 o'clock Eastern time. People were watching football. People were watching Colorado and Colorado State at almost 2 in the morning Eastern time. So they're saying that the stats peaked out at 11 million people who tuned into this game. That is flat out incredible. We've never seen nothing like that. And like I said, it is teams that, nobody has seen. Colorado State sucks.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I'm not no big college fan. Now, I will watch UK because I think you forced that on me.
Yeah, right. You have to watch them. Great team.
I know. I know it changed your mood, but my job's always worked on Saturdays and stuff, so I never got into college. This is the first season that I actually give a damn, and I'm gonna get up at 7 o'clock a.m. in the morning, or I'm gonna stay up to midnight if Deion and the boys are out there, right? Deion has changed the culture of college football to me because, for one, he got me watching it. He had people up at midnight on the East Coast drinking Coors Light, watching him, right? And he got all these other coaches in college hating him, player hating.
For sure.
Feel like he's getting too much attention. But where they messing up, they feeding into it, sending him a lot of attention by crying and doing all the other stuff. He have changed the culture. The old days of that old dusty marching band coming out is over with Deion. He got Lil Wayne bringing the team out.
Yeah.
Like a heavyweight boxing match. You know how the boxers in the ring?
Yeah.
That's how they're doing it in Colorado these days. He have changed the culture, and I'm loving every bit of it.
Yeah. I mean, ESPN is there. I mean, ESPN, they're showing up to the most excited, most anticipated games, right? That's what they're doing their shows, and they're in Boulder, Colorado, and like the community of Boulder, is not with the culture that Deion is bringing, and Deion is polarizing the college world, the Boulder, other coaches, because like I said, Colorado State isn't that good. Colorado was just 1-11. They have tripled their wins in 3 games already under Deion. So them bringing in a coach like Deion Sanders from an HBCU who's been screaming that we've been those guys. We just been on the HBCU level and people don't respect it. So he brought in Shador. He brought in Travis Hunter. He brought in his guys from Jackson State. Of course, 56 total transfers, which is just unheard of, right? You got an entire new team. And what he does is he adapts to his players and he still brings the best out of them, right? Because players now, people complain, kids these days, they just want to look good. They don't want to put in the work. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it is a new time. You want to look good, play good, all that good stuff. That's a real thing, right? And Dion does that. He knows to a player how important it is to have a single digit number if you think you're that guy. He says you could get it, but you have to earn it. So every player goes into training camp with no number. And if you wear number 1, you're a dog. You're that guy, right? And that's what everybody you talk.
Yeah.
You know how important you know how important a number is. Like number is important.
Right. It's important.
But it motivates the players. Instead of just having this
Yep.
C on the chest, he says he doesn't believe in captains. You have L on the chest for leaders. You have a D for dog. I mean, like this guy could play.
Yeah.
Right. That's a different just swagger that you're bringing, and the kids are going to want that. You're going to want that on your chest. You're going to want a good jersey number. You're going to want to look good, but he's also going to make you play, and you're going to earn those privileges. And if you work hard and you play good, look at the spotlight you're going to have on you. And nothing showed that more than the number 1 quarterback recruit in the 2025 class, Bryce Underwood, being there in Boulder, taking pictures with Dion. Now, will he go there? We don't know. But that is definitely a cool thing. You're going to want to go. Yeah, Offset was there. Lil Wayne was there. A ton of athletes were there in Boulder, Colorado. I mean, that is amazing that they're able to pull that off. But in that game, I do want to switch over to an unfortunate part of that game. In that game, we did see, unfortunately, Travis Hunter get hit. I thought it was a cheap shot. It was definitely late. I thought he should have been kicked out the game.
It was a
for
cheap
that.
shot.
Yeah, I thought he should have definitely been kicked out the game. I've seen, quote unquote, targeting in college, and players get kicked out for way, way less than that. I get he didn't aim at the head, but the ball already was incomplete. He was a defenseless guy, and you just got hit. And now we have an injury to Travis Hunter that is reportedly going to keep him out 3 weeks. And these aren't just 3 regular weeks. This is Oregon, who you have this week, and then you have USC the following week. Those are elite programs. Oregon, I believe, last I checked, they were 13th in the country. I'm sure they'll move up a little bit. They may be a top 10 team this week. I have not seen this week's college football rankings. So you have Oregon, who is a legitimate team. You have USC, a team that people are saying is going to be the college football playoff. You have the reigning Heisman winner in Caleb Williams, probably a top 3 pick, if not the number 1 pick in the draft in Caleb Williams. And you have a coach that basically got $100 million contract, got private jets and everything to get him to go from Oklahoma to USC.
Yeah.
So you are playing the top of the top.
Yep.
Without your best player. And it's not that you just lost 1 player. He played the whole game at cornerback and at receiver. So you're essentially losing 2 5-star players with 1 hit. What did you think about the hit? Because I think we all could agree that it is a late hit.
I feel like it was a late hit. It was a cheap shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of players do it. He just got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I will say this: that player has been receiving death threats, and I don't think it's that big of a deal neither. I don't think he should be receiving any type of death threats. It wasn't that crazy, but it was bad enough, in my opinion, for an ejection.
Right. No, I agree with that, and I mean that's just game rules, right? And players do it. But I don't think the guy deserved life-threatening things to happen to him. It's a game.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been on the opposite side of that too. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I just don't. I think that's when it's going too far. But an ejection would have made me feel a little better about it.
For sure. I think it definitely did deserve that. And I was just the main one saying I think Travis Hunter could play both ways all season. I wasn't worried about the hits he would take because he's primarily on the outside. I was more worried just about his cardio. But of course he went down. I would still say, maybe I was a little wrong with that. I wasn't expecting a late hit. But what the main thing that comes back to my mind is you need bed rest to recover. What does that do to your stamina and your cardio moving forward. So not only do you miss the 3 weeks, which is a long time to not be running, not be training,
Hmm.
do you have the cardio to be able to play an entire game both ways on defense and offense?
Probably not. I mean, he gonna have to be limited.
Hmm.
I mean, to me, that was my opinion. I think we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
But I I just feel like over time, that's a lot to ask for a person. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And as skillful as he could be, the athlete, all that stuff. But I just think athletes get burnt out. That's why I
Yeah.
didn't think he can go 100% on both sides for the whole season.
Yeah, he was trying to do something we have never seen before. So definitely credit for that, and maybe especially being that slim of a frame, it could add up. I was thinking just because he's on the outside, how many hits are you taking? A cornerback, you're not really
Oh, I got you.
tackling.
Right, right. No, I get you.
Maybe
And
two,
then,
3 tackles a game. You get 7 catches, 7 hits, but you learn especially as a smaller guy, you learn how to get hit, and how to kind of take that impact better. But still, as a long time, I'm more worried about how Colorado performs in those games. I do think the expectations are a lot lower against Oregon and USC. But for Travis Hunter specifically, I'm just worried about the cardio. As long as he can get back in shape when he comes back, I think he could hit the ground running. He's an elite talent. Um, so I don't think that's the problem at all. And the offense is doing good. It's just I don't know. We'll see him going both ways when he comes back. But
yeah.
the last sports thing I definitely want to talk about before I have one last bonus subject. Going over to the NBA really quickly. I am you definitely know I'm a huge NBA fan. Let's talk about my guy, Damian Lillard, point guard for the Portland Trail Blazers, who requested a trade in the offseason and tried to strong arm himself to going specifically to the Miami Heat. You heard rumors, nothing from him specifically, because, he will get fined for that. Nothing him specifically, but the rumors were he only will play for the Miami Heat. And then the rumors got so far saying that if another team traded for him, he would not report the training camp. And that team was like the Toronto Raptors, I believe, was rumored to go after him. And essentially he's saying I wouldn't show up. In that time, the NBA passed a new rule where you cannot rest your star player. So they consider a star player is anybody who has made a all-star game in the last 3 seasons, or if you made an all team. So if you made all defensive team or all NBA team in the last 3 years, you are considered a quote unquote star player. You are not allowed to rest more than one star player for any given game, and you're not allowed to rest them for nationally televised games. That's mainly a shot, in my opinion, at teams like the Clippers, where you never see Kawhi Leonard or Paul George play. Like they just don't show up until playoff time. But the reason that this impacts Damian Lillard is because they have very heavy fines for resting those star players. Traditionally, you will see when a trade cannot get done by a player who requested a trade, you will see that player get sat out. He will not play for the first couple of weeks or first couple of games of a season until they figure out a trade partner. One, it prevents injury, and two, the player doesn't want to be there. Why play him?
Right.
But now that's not the case. He's going to have to play. He's going to have to play in these games if he's on the roster. And we're very quickly approaching the start of training camp. The NBA season will kick off in less than a month, and he has not found a home. And what we heard yesterday from ESPN and Brian Windhorst, who's very involved with the NBA, he said that the Portland Trail Blazers basically asked for every asset from the Miami Heat. Like, give us run us your, it's like a stick up. Run us your draft picks, any young player you got, Tyler here. If you think you're good, we want all that, and we'll give you damn. That's basically what it came across as. Like, of course, I'm sure they had some type of awareness saying like he is an older player. They're not gonna give us everything, but I'm pretty sure they wanted a ton of draft picks. So I do believe that story. But Miami was unwilling to do that, because also, why would you do that if you know a player wants to come to your team?
Exactly.
Right. Like we see the Lakers hold out on Anthony Davis, and it kind of worked. But now we have other teams that are now discussing the possibility of trying to trade for Damian Lillard, which I think is still stupid because he's older.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't want to be there, yes, you could technically force him to play, but I don't think it is in your best interest for a 33-year-old point guard. But you do have a team in the Charlotte Hornets that came out as a potential third team in that trade, but they will be requiring Tyler Hero from the Miami Heat. A UK guy, I like Tyler Hero a lot. I think he will fit great with LaMelo Ball, but I'm very interested to see in general if a trade gets done. And if it gets done before camp starts or before something will happen surely before the regular season. But you've seen him start backtracking a little bit. He said before he was out, he doesn't want to be here. He did do an interview yesterday where he said if it was a perfect world, he would play and remain in Portland. But of course, it's not essentially. And
I mean, what would make the world perfect though?
he wants
Do
to
you have
win.
any idea?
He
Oh,
wants
okay.
to win.
I got
He
you.
wants
Okay.
a winning
Right.
team around him. And Portland has done everything pretty much the opposite. They traded away CJ McCollum. They got young pieces.
Yeah.
In the draft, he wanted them to trade away the 3rd overall pick and get me a veteran that I could run and win with. Now, they said, we hear you, Dame. We're going to go ahead and draft.
I lost you. Lost your voice. Devin? Are you back? No. Still nothing.
All right. Am I back now?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. I have to wait for the error to pop up. This is really weird. My internet does not want me to be great today at all. But it's just interesting. It's not. I'm interested to see if he gets moved, especially with the new rules in where he has to play. You see Bubble saying he will do the minimum, like I said with James Harden before. I don't think Dame has that in him to just not play as hard as he can. And it's gift and the curse because I would have said if I was Damian Lillard a long time ago, I would have left Portland. Like clearly they were not trying to win. I would have left a long time ago. But now you're in that situation where you're 33 years old, and I get it. You don't want to be the guy jumping from team to team, right? Like, I'll have to go chase a title with the team. You want to be that guy that said, I won a championship here in Portland. Nobody was here, and I made it happen. That's a great fairy tale story. But it's not the reality of today's NBA because while he stayed at home saying, I'm going to make it work here, Kevin Durant joined up with Kyrie and Anthony Davis was joining up with LeBron. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Was joining each other while he was sitting back saying, I'm going to do this by myself.
Yeah,
exactly. And now he's in this situation where he's going to have to play. And I don't think a team's going to trade him unless Portland just gives in. I don't think so. They have shown that they are going to do what's best for their organization, and it is a business. So I think Damian Lillard is in a very, very tough spot. Very tough spot.
Yeah, no. I know it's a business, but like, do you really want him around if you don't want to be there? So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, sometimes you got to, cut your losses or whatever.
Logically, but then sometimes you will also think logically you will try to help out your star player over the last 10 years, and they have
right.
They have not done that.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk about it because NBA season is around the corner. I'm getting excited, and I already see the storyline starting to form. The script this year for the NBA, I think, is going to be really, really good. With a lot of even teams, a lot of new teams, a lot of established teams, and just a lot of storylines. And then, of course, Wembanyama is going to be fun to watch as well. Then the last topic I do want to talk about, not sports related per se, but in the sports world, because for some reason, there's been a lot of drama when it comes to TV co-hosts and hosts, and I don't know what is going on. And now First Take and FS1's Undisputed, they're all little mini drama shows about what co-host likes who and why did this guy leave and things like that. So Shannon Sharpe is now with Stephen A. Smith on First Take. After the NBA Finals, he left FS1 and Skip Bayless with Undisputed. And it took him some time to kind of get back, but he is back with Stephen A. Smith. Now, we don't know 100% what happened. It's all hearsay as to why Shannon Sharpe left. The way Shannon Sharpe has portrayed it as if he was essentially sort of forced out of his position at FS1. We do know him and Skip Bayless have not gotten along for a while, and we could just see that as fans, just watching the show and how they interact with each other. That respect was lost, and they were not getting along. It looked like it was a straight business relationship. So we do know that, but we don't know exactly why he left and why he ended up taking the role with Stephen A. Smith and what exactly happened. Stephen A. Smith has been saying, I don't want nobody to feel like this brother's been pushed out, which we'll talk about him in a second, which he pretty much did the same thing to Max Kellerman, pushed him out. But he's pretty much been saying that about Shannon Sharpe. Now, I will say I'm not too fond of this guy at all. And I don't even know what merit he has to stand on. But Jason Whitlock, who also used to work at FS1, he has his own YouTube stuff going on. He has his own, I believe, his own company going on, media company going on. I think it's Outlast. I'm not trying to butcher it. Something like that. He has his own thing. So I'm not a huge fan. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Whitlock, but he posted on his YouTube channel the other day a video basically calling out and threatening Shannon Sharpe. He essentially said in his video that you were not just pushed out of FS1 just because. Basically, he was saying we all know the reason why you were kicked out of FS1, and then alluded to him as a person, saying that I don't know if you remember when Shannon Sharpe got into that fight at the Lakers game, the argument, the altercation, whatever you want to call it, with John Morant's father, where he was like standing up So he kept showing that and saying, this is Shannon Sharpe. And that's all he kept saying. He was very cryptic about it. Basically alluding, though, to at least my impression of it, that he is a confrontational person and that he was trying to bring other people down on his way out. That is what he alluded to. But on the flip note, like I said, without having limited information, and I'm just doing this off of, what I do know or what is hearsay, right? Because nobody's flat out. Everybody's playing this game. Like, we know why you're doing that. And then he ended his video saying that if you continue to do this, I will, and I'm not scared to let the world know exactly why you are no longer there, and that he knows exactly why he is no longer there.
Okay,
I'm not a Whitlock
fan. Right there.
Yeah, I'm not a Whitlock fan at all. Yeah, I know how Whitlock acts. Yeah, for sure. So I'm not a Whitlock fan. I will admittedly say that. But trying to look at it, of course, I have to just go off of kind of the hearsay, right? And the benefit of the doubt. Now, my benefit of the doubt and what I kind of took away from it was Shannon Sharpe, when he was there, he had those moments where he kind of went at it with Skip Bayless and was kind of disrespected. I feel that most people understood why he will be frustrated, right? Because some of the stuff Skip was saying was definitely out of pocket, out of line. And I think any man or any person, man, woman, will just feel disrespected. Like, yo, I'm your co-host. Even if we're not seeing eye to eye, don't start kind of questioning, or calling me out on certain things, or just treat me like I'm not supposed to be here, or essentially like I'm not, what I did wasn't good enough. So I understand the frustration as to why he could have been frustrated with Skip. Now, I don't know if anything else took place. I'm sure they did not like each other at all behind the scenes. Like, I'm not questioning that. But I don't know what Jason Whitlock could be talking about. And I do know is Jason Whitlock, so he could just be talking just to talk. I'm not buying it. Are you buying it? Like, to me, I have to see it. Like, just drop whatever information you're talking about, and then you could change my mind. I will come on here and say I was wrong, but I just see it.
I'm just saying, to me, Whitlock is just coming across like a straight hater, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Shannon Sharpe is my boy. And Whitlock, if you wasn't so scared, why don't we know the reason yet? Nah. Step your ass out the closet if you want to be that man, Whitlock, and tell us why Shannon is no longer there. Stop whispering and crying and hating. Do yourself that favor, brother. Let's do that.
Yeah, and I think it's just an overblown situation. I'm pretty sure he was disgruntled working there, Shannon Sharp. But I think from what I've seen, he probably had a very good reason to be disgruntled working there, especially towards the
Yeah.
end of his tenure. So, I mean, I wouldn't be happy go lucky after my co-host, you know what I mean, treating me that way neither. So I need to see the reason. I'm not buying it. He posted it. We'll see if it does get interacted with. I doubt it. But who knows? We shall see. And then the last discussion in that world, really quick, is now the new co-host of Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, who we just talked about last week, took shots on the Joe Budden podcast. He took shots at Max Kellerman, who is no longer working at ESPN. And then after that, kind of took a life of his own. People kind of started talking that we like Max Kellerman, things of that nature on Twitter. One fan just randomly, quote tweeted that and said that the only reason Stephen A. Smith is mad and doesn't like Max Kellerman is because of Terrell Owens' comments a few years back when he said Max Kellerman is blacker than you, Stephen A. We all know Stephen A. he's never liked those comments. he has never been a fan. And for what it seems like, really that was like not the deciding factor, but like the breaking point of that relationship with Max Kellerman and Stephen A. So we get that information that goes out there. Terrell Owens quote tweets it, and he just goes facts. The simple facts to that. And Stephen A. Smith did not like that co-signing. Not one bit. He decided to go on a rant, essentially saying that I don't like you, and you know why I don't like. I think he called him a punk ass. I think he said you know why I don't like your punk ass. Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but something like that. And he was basically saying that you did something at ESPN that if I'm gonna go on my show and talk about on Monday. T.O. comes back and goes, I had nothing to hide. Go talk about me on your show. We all know why you don't like Max, and I'm Team Max all day. They went back and forth. Every response from T.O. kept saying Team Max. And that was getting under Stephen A's skin because I really do think that's some type of insecurity there about that statement, right? Especially being a black man, you don't want somebody to be like, oh, that white guy acting blacker than you, right? That's like a shot at you for the culture. So
it's basically he take it as old boy calling him a sellout. That's how Stephen
exactly
take it. Like
exactly. So
he's taking it that way.
Exactly. So he's not too fond of that. Then Marcellus Wiley, who worked with both of them, well, all the parties. He had a radio show with Max Kellerman, so he had a very close relationship with Max. He worked at ESPN, so he was a co-worker with Stephen A. And then he worked at FS1, so he was even there with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless and Whitlock, actually. So he's been there with everybody. Now, he said on his YouTube channel, essentially, from what he knows, because he is close with Max Kellerman, that the relationship has never really been there. And he said some interesting things. He said Max was only hired, one, because he was a white man, and he thought it would have been better for ratings, being opposed to that. Two, because Max was a white man, he felt that Stephen A. felt that he will have the culture, and he will speak for the black culture, is essentially what he was going to. So when he basically that got flipped, and you had T.O. saying that, no, Max is blacker than you, that was a real big shot at Stephen A. And Stephen A. wanted to be the top dog, and he felt like Max was becoming just as high as him, and people were listening to him more. This is from Marcellus Wiley, who, like I said, friends with Max, so it is a biased party involved, even if he doesn't want to be biased. So it's just interesting because Monday comes, and I was waiting to see if Stephen A. would address it, and he very likely did, but he did not go into details at all. He basically said, we got into like a scuffle over the weekend, but he did not divulge any information. I don't know if he will anytime soon. T.O. said he had the popcorn ready. He was ready for it. Nothing happened. And I think it kind of blows over now. I don't think it gets brought up for a while. But it's just interesting. I wanted to talk about it because I was kind of waiting to see if something happened. There was a bunch of hoopla, and those fights where somebody's holding me back, like, hold me back. I'm about to do something. It's like a big altercation, but nothing of substance took place. That's what happened over the weekend. Absolutely nothing
Well,
of substance.
my thing is this: Whitlock, Stephen A, Perry Sanders want to hear about it. Please come clean with it. Drop the T, fellas.
Let
Let's
us
do
know
it.
what
Stop
exactly
talking
is
about it
going on.
and be about it.
Yeah, what exactly is going on? We want to know. Why not? You know, we have a month before basketball. Tell us. We have all weekday before football comes on again. We got time. We got time to know what happened. But that's pretty much everything for today's show, man. I definitely appreciate everybody that came in and rocked with us today. If you're listening to this on the podcast form, thank you for listening. I definitely do appreciate that. Before we get out of here, Perry, do you have any last words before we step out?
Oh no, I just want people that run across this video. Hey, support my son, new channel, and like and subscribe.
All
And then
right, definitely
hopefully,
appreciate it. Me and my internet is going to have beef after this because it did not want me to be great at all today, and that was my biggest opponent of the day. So we're going to be beefing after this. I'll let y'all know who won that beef tomorrow. But I appreciate everybody for stopping by, checking us out, having a good time. It's DLloyd, man. I'm gonna see y'all next time.